Hey YouTubers, it's Valerie with Money Mindset Coach, and I want to talk about President Jimmy Carter. Um, River,
What did you do? What did you do?
stop. Go lay down. Um, I just want to talk about him because that was the first presidential election that I was old enough to vote in. I didn't end up voting, but if I would have voted, I would have voted for Ford because at the point in time, I was a Republican. So this is not this is not a political video, but I just think that Jimmy Carter was a positively wonderful man, wonderful president, great father, great husband, wonderful grandfather, and wonderful great grandfather. And he taught Sunday school. I think they said during the time he was president, he still taught Sunday school. I don't know how he did that. But that's amazing. And I do remember that he didn't tend to like all the trappings of the presidency. He didn't like the song Hail to the Chief played, for him. He didn't like that. I remember him and Rosalind being the first president and first lady to walk instead of being in the motorcade on Inauguration Day. I was like, people were amazed by that because they walked. Now, in this day and age, now, there's no way that they're going to let a president and first lady just walk down the street, even with Secret Service agents all around them. They would never let them do that. But back when Carter became president, that was one of the things that he did. He grew up in a house that didn't have running water. And if it didn't have running water, it didn't have an indoor bathroom, that was for sure. I think they didn't have electricity. He grew up very, very, very poor. But those frugal ways always stayed with him. They ended up, after he became president, they went back to the house in Plains, Georgia that they built back in 1961. It was just a regular red brick ranch. It wasn't anything special. It wasn't a mansion. He probably had the money to have a few different houses in different places, but he didn't do that. He lived very simply. But the thing that really impressed me was the faith that he had and how deep his faith was. And it just had everything to do with the person that he was. And I kind of wish now that I would have ever had the chance to meet him. I would have loved that. He was super, super neat guy. And he had 2 grandsons that got up and spoke today. But I got to tell you, I watched the funeral, and I felt like after the funeral was over, I felt like I'd been to church. That's how much God was, and his faith was in his funeral. So this isn't going to be a long video, but I was so impressed with the man and everything that he did after he became president, or after he was out of office. I think he's always remembered for the hostage crisis. And I remember that. I was a young adult. And he was looking weak, but when you really find out everything that he did during the time that he was president, he wasn't weak at all. He really wasn't. He was a very strong man. And I wished I would have given him a little more credit back when he was president. But he did some wonderful things, and I was really impressed, and I learned a lot about what he did. So if any of you did not get to see the state funeral, it's worth watching. It is worth watching. Gerald Ford and Jimmy Carter became really good friends, and they promised each other that whichever one died first would eulogize the other. So they would do that for each other. Well, Gerald Ford had no idea that Jimmy Carter was going to live to be 100 years old. He died back in 2006. But the really cool thing is he wrote out a eulogy that his son, Stephen, got up and read. So he still did eulogize him almost 20 years later after he passed away, but he still did. His son just, he had written this whole thing out, given it to his son and said, you need to read this when Jimmy Carter passes away, and he did. And then Walter Mondale's son or grandson, they got up and spoke. It was amazing. It was a really, for funerals, usually, they're mourning and everything. But to me, I think if somebody has lived 100 years, that's pretty amazing. That's something to celebrate. That is not somebody where you're like, oh, they were gone too soon. No, he had a very rich, full life. He was married to his wife for 77 years. She died last year, 2023. I don't know how old she was, but she was pretty old too. But it's like, what kind of life did he have? Oh my gosh. When he got to heaven, that was probably some celebration with everything that he got done down here. But anyway, I was just so impressed. I was so impressed and learned a lot about Jimmy Carter. I tend to, I love history now, where I never used to, but I love it now. And presidential history, I really like. I was fascinated. So if you want to catch that, I'm sure you can find it on YouTube. Like anything else you can find on YouTube. It's all there. So anyway, this is just a short one. Use it up, wear it out, make it do, or do without. Till next time. Bye.